bit more streamlined.
Yeah. You saying risk is the third segue to this topic. So let's open up these can of worms, because I think it's a substantial issue, and I think very few companies know the full extent of what potential risks they are engaging by letting the frontier be the Wild West on a grassroots level. Let's address maybe a short checklist of some of the things that companies need to think about, maybe even if they don't have a solution for it right away. What are the things we have to watch out for on the AI frontier, so that it doesn't become the Wild Wild West and everybody does what the hell he wants, and we inadvertently push buttons that create serious liability, danger to life and health, or financial disaster?
Sure.
What are some of those things that one has to look out for as a decision maker?
Well, so we are talking about risks that exist with current systems that are commercial systems, so systems that are on the market and that we are working with today. We're not talking about whatever AGI or anything else, because there the risks are a completely different story. So that's a much broader discussion.
Yeah.
So if you are a company who is trying to deploy today AI-based solutions into the ground, the grassroots level of your organization, what type of risks do you encounter? And these come in many, many different flavors. First of all, what tools are you using, right? So are these open source tools? Are these tools that you are purchasing an access to?
You have a private license or a company license?
For example, yeah. And do you have security over the data that you're putting in there? How are you managing this data? So from the perspective really of the sovereignty over your own data, that is the first very important big question. So for example, if you're letting your project managers use Claude, right? Or ChatGPT or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever,
so
my Perplexity and all the other different names, yeah.
What happens with the information you're putting on there, right? You are loading your own information, you're loading your customers' information, you're loading contracts onto that platform, you're loading vendor agreements onto that platform, you're loading stakeholder assessments, maybe with personal information about specific people. Freddie is an asshole, whatever, right? So I mean, you're putting
even if you put a request for proposal on there with the personal information of another company,
the actual emails and the actual telephone numbers, for sure, absolutely, right? So there's a lot of stuff that you're loading onto there, and you're essentially letting go of control over that. Now, this is something that is not complicated to fix, but it needs to be done. Right?
Pray tell. How?
You need to do it in advance. So
Okay.
there are different ways. First of all, of course, legally, you can have a contract with whoever it is that is managing your cloud, just like you have with any cloud provider. But then you can also do it in-house.
Yeah.
If you're a big enough company and you have your own servers, you can have your solutions in-house and only go out when you have a specific query. And there are systems that you can put in place in order to make sure that the sensitive information does not go out, right? But it goes out only in a blocked format.
So you can create a constellation with the big players, with the big LLMs, where you can create, I don't know what the correct word is, a firewall, a security wall, where you can use those LLMs and get your benefits out of it without it being accessible from outside?
Yeah, so first of all, you don't always need to. There are a lot of LLMs that you can run locally, which are not as powerful, right? But they do already a huge chunk of work.
Okay.
However, your question was very specific. But what if I want to go out and use whatever GPT 5.0 or whatever? Yes, you can still do that. But what you need is a layer in between, behind your firewall, that identifies the sensitive information and redacts it. The information goes out, it comes back, and it's translated back to...
Is that an AI application?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, but it's...
Where it takes out names and...
It takes out names, it takes out telephone numbers, it takes out email addresses, it takes out whatever you tell it to take.
Confidential information.
Right.
Yeah.
So the customer names, right, you define, screen the document for A, B, C, and D, substitute it with a stash of letters, and go out. And then when it comes back in again, the answers come back in, resubstitute.
But this would be an example of that middle management responsibility to say, okay, this is the upper management wants it, the operation wants to use it, but we need to make sure that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's and creating a framework that works, that we're not getting liability.
Yeah. By the way, you don't necessarily need to go out. You can even go out only for specific.
Like I said, I'm not super proficient in the depth of AI, but a stupid question that I keep asking myself, okay, everybody's talking about these LLMs and it seems like they're unavoidable. They're kind of the backbone of everything. Everything's kind of interlinked and they kind of feed off each other, these different, and a lot of AI apps use elements of already existing AI to even function. My stupid question that I keep asking, because that's my skills, is to ask the stupid questions, but there's sometimes